Okay.
Sitemap. Okay, we need to define this one with the two different words. One is called site and another one is called map. Okay, site means we call it as a website. Okay, map means guidelines. Okay, map means we can call this one as a guideline, which means the instruction to navigate. Map means instruction to navigate. Instruction to navigate. Okay, so this is basically site, website, and navigational instruction is what we have. Okay, sitemap. How it is going to help us? Sitemap is going to help us. Going to help us. Why spelling mistake is coming? By giving guidelines about navigation of the links inside the website. Okay, of course, sitemap is not going to help you and me, but it is going to help the search engine spider. Instead of us, I can say it helps search engine spider by giving guidelines. Okay, so sitemap is going to help the search engine spiders by giving guidelines about the navigation of the links inside the website. Okay, indirectly we can say a sitemap file will contain the list of all the links inside the website. Inside the website, we can have a sitemap for images, we can have a sitemap for videos, we can have sitemap for text content. Okay, URL, when I say text, it is basically URL based content. Okay, so images, videos, everything is working under URL only, so along with the text. Okay, so a website will have, not necessary, okay, that is not mandatory to have a sitemap, it is optional. But having a sitemap, having a sitemap for a website helps the search engine spider to explore the content inside the website and index them easily. Okay, it indexes them easily. Indirectly we can say it increases your crawl budget. Crawl budget in the sense how many pages can be crawled and indexed inside search engine. So having a sitemap or a website helps the search engine spider, okay, search engine spider to explore the content inside the website and index them easily. Okay, and index them easily. Okay, we can call it like you will have a very good crawl budget. Okay, crawl budget is something how many pages can be crawled and indexed on your website. That is what we call it as a crawl budget. Okay, now the search engine spider has a habit of exploring each and every link inside a website. Okay, you open any website. Let me say I am a search engine spider now. What will I do? I visit google.com and I go here and see there is a link called about. I will open about and see whether it is working. I will open store. I will see whether it is working. I will click on this image and see whether this is working. I will click on this Google search and see whether it is working. I will click on the address advertising option and see whether it is working. I will go to the business option and see whether it is working. I will go to the house search option. So the purpose of a search engine spider is to open every link inside the website and see whether they are working or not. Now, when the links are working, what it will do? If the link is a do follow link, it will follow the other links inside the website and it will pass the link juice. But if the link is a no follow link, then it will not pass the link juice. Now, only the do follow links will be crawled. No follow links will not be crawled and indexed. Okay. Now, in order to make sure whether the link is crawled and indexed properly, the search engine spider needs to open each and every URL and see how it works. Now it is really difficult, to manually go and open each and every link. But what if we have all the links available in a single place? Okay, you heard about vegetable market? Okay, vegetable market.
Yes.
Okay, now you see in vegetable market, all the farmers or the vendors who are selling these vegetables, they bring the vegetables from across agricultural farm and they put it in a common place, correct? And we call it as a market. Yes or no? Right?
Correct.
So there are two ways of buying these vegetables. Number one, let me say you look into this particular photograph, okay, and they are selling several vegetables like chili, brinjal, tomato, okay, lady's finger, okay, so lots of product, mango they have. Now think of this situation: you travel 150 kilometer and go to a person who is actually cultivating mango and you are buying mango. From there you want to buy tomato. Now you go to another place to buy tomato, you go to another place to buy chili, you go to another place to buy brinjal. Now what happens? You can spend the whole day traveling around all the location to buy all this product, correct? But
Correct.
if you go to a market, you see all the product in a single place and you can simply easily buy it, right?
Yes.
So the search engine spider coming and opening the website, each and every link is like going to each and every farmer and buying a specific product. Now that consumes time and energy, correct? Same way, instead, if you have a place like a market where you go out and buy everything, you save lots of time. The same thing happens here. Okay, you have google.com. Instead of opening each and every link and seeing the content inside, if you put all the link inside the sitemap.xml place, so there is a file called sitemap, and if you put all the link inside sitemap, now what happens? It is easy for the search engine spider to come and see all the links inside your website. Can you see? All the links in your page is available here. See, there are 24 links given here, correct? So the sitemap file will have all the links in a single place. It is like a vegetable market where you go out and buy all the vegetables for you, correct? Basically. Okay. So sitemap will have all the links of your website inside a single place. Okay. This is the purpose. It helps search engine spider to crawl the link and check whether they can be indexed or not. Now the search engine spider makes the task of the sitemap file makes the task of a search engine spider easy, simple, correct? Now the purpose of adding a sitemap file to a website is to make the task of a search engine spider easy. Why? Because if you take websites like Amazon, Flipkart, eBay and all this stuff, they have millions and millions of pages inside. Now think of the time that is taken by the search engine spider to crawl and index the all the pages inside the huge database of content on a daily basis. Now they don't have time. The search engine spider need to concentrate on the small website also. Now, in order to make sure that this crawling and indexing process is made simple, a sitemap file for a website is mandatory. Is what we say. It's not mandatory, but it is good if you have. Okay, so a sitemap. Okay, some properties of sitemap we can see. Properties of sitemap file. Okay, it can have any name. It can have any name. Okay, so sitemap file can have any name. It can be in any format. It can be in any format. Okay, but preferably .xml format is suggested. Preferably .xml, that is one of the extension. Okay, so you can have your extension, sitemap file with any name. You can name it with anything. Not necessarily. Generally every website will have, for example, https colon www.amudhakumar.com. So this is my website forward slash. If you go out and type sitemap.xml after my website, you will be able to see my sitemap. This is what happens to Google also. Okay, if you go over and type amudhakumar.com forward slash sitemap.xml, you will end up seeing my sitemap and the link of my website available here. Okay, so this is my sitemap file like this. But the deal is, it is not necessary to have your sitemap file named as sitemap. You can name the sitemap anything. For example, you can have your sitemap, sorry, you can have your sitemap with a different name. Instead of sitemap, you can have like I can make it as amudhan.html or xml. This is one. I can also have my file with the different extensions like sitemap.txt, I can have a sitemap.html. I can have sitemap.css. I can have sitemap.js, JavaScript, whatever it may be. So there are different file formats available. I can even have it under the PDF file. But the thing is, the search engine spider, not every search engine spider is comfortable in crawling and indexing the different file format. Remember, the universal language used by the search engine spiders are the XML. Like you go to India, you speak a lot of Hindi. You come to Tamil Nadu, you speak a lot in Tamil. You go to Andhra, you speak a lot in Telugu. You go to Kerala, you speak a lot in Malayalam. The same way. But wherever you go across the globe, you speak English, right? So preferably English is a universal language, and we also have a regional language. Not everybody can understand English, I mean the regional language, but almost everybody can understand the English language, the global language, the universal language. Okay, now the same way for every search engine spider, okay, each search engine spider can easily understand easily understand each search engine spider can easily understand any content with XML document. XML document. So it is suggested to have your XML file in the XML document. Don't worry about the technical aspect of this one. Okay, the reason because we are going to do nothing with respect to sitemap. Okay, so this is how it is. Sitemap can have any name, it can have any extension. Preferably, it can have an extension with .xml. Okay, so if you want to see what are all the links available inside any website, simply try to enter sitemap.xml at the end of their URL. If the URL is correct, then sitemap file will show you the all the URLs inside. Okay, so this is how you can see. But the websites like blogger.com or WordPress websites, they can automatically generate a sitemap. Blogger.com will generate a sitemap automatically once you create, so you don't need to do it manually. It is taken care. You go to WordPress website. If you install a plugin called Yoast SEO, okay, there's a plugin called Yoast SEO for WordPress. Once you install that one, it will automatically create a sitemap for your website. So creating a sitemap for your website, you don't need to do it manually. It is not necessary. But however, okay, you can create a sitemap. You can create sitemap file using online tools. But you don't need to do it nowadays. The reason because there is no necessity for that because it is automated. Okay, so creating sitemap file, something like this. There was a Telegram. Okay, there was a service called Telegram. Okay, which we call it as immediate message sending service. Okay, but when we have SMS, when we have MMS, and when we have video calling option, why do we have to send a Telegram nowadays? So Telegram is no more, correct? The same way, right? When you have a XML document file, okay, with different type that can automatically be generated, then what is the use of generating it manually? So it is not necessary. Okay, so if you use any of the third party online website for generating your sitemap file, you simply have to give your website URL, and it says there are 19 pages which is cubed, and they have scanned one page and they have added one page. Now it started scanning all the pages here, so it is checking out all the cubed pages. Look at this URL, how it is changing, right? Look at this highlight. Okay, so it's actually checking all the links inside the website, my website of amudhakumar.com. Okay, so the final statement is you don't need to do anything with respect to generating a sitemap, but this is one of the oldest technique that we use. The sitemap will automatically be generated by your content management system. You don't need to do it. Okay, if you look into this one, it is generating all the links inside my website. That's really good for me. Correct? So you don't need to generate the sitemap file. It will automatically be generated. Okay, but you can use any of the online tools to generate the sitemap. That is for your need. If you are a developer and if you are in a situation where you need to develop the sitemap file manually, then this can be useful, but never be worried about it. Okay, so this is automatically taken care. You go out and create a website with the WordPress and install a YouTube, I mean like the Yoast SEO plugin, the sitemap requirement is taken care. You go to content management system like WordPress or blogger.com, because Blogger is owned by Google by itself and it knows that the sitemap is very important. Okay, so automatically it is being generated, so you don't need to worry about it. Okay, a sitemap file, okay, it contains information like the URL of all the link inside the website. Okay, it contains the last modified time. When did the content was modified last modified time. Okay, it will also have priority. Okay, priority in the sense like is it very urgent to crawl. Okay, priority, we don't need to define priority because the we can even call it as crawl. Okay, CRAWL, we can call it as crawl frequency, or yeah, crawl frequency, how frequently the search engine spider has to come and check your website. Okay, so these are all a few examples when you go out and open a sitemap file. Okay, so priority, very high important priority. Last modified, when was the content modified last time. Okay, the important factor here is the last modified time. Okay, last modified time, what is the use of having a last modified time? Remember, okay, when such an spider is coming and checking a website once in every 2 days or 3 days, the update frequency. Okay, every once in 2 days or 3 days, when the search engine spider is coming and checking your content, it will save the last modified time. Okay, if the last modified time is same as when it was checked the last time, which means there is no change in the content. Okay, so Sasan Spider, it came and checked the content yesterday or day before yesterday, and it is coming and checking the same content today. And if it finds the last modified time is same as what it was yesterday, which means there is no change in the URL or the content. But if the time changes, what it crawled yesterday and what it is doing right now, if the time changes, which means there is an update in the URL. Now, because of this policy, what happened? Let me say there are 100 URLs in the website, not even 100. Let me say 10,000 URL inside a website, 10,000 URL in a website. So when Google or the search engine spider came and crawled this 10,000 URL around 2 days back, all the last modified time were recorded for all the 10,000 URLs. Okay, all the last modified time was recorded for 10,000 URL. Okay, now the search engine spider is coming and checking this 10,000 URL again. And out of this 10,000 URL, some 500 URL has a different modified time. How many? 500 URLs have different modified time, different last modified time, which means there is a change happened in the URL. That is the reason the last modified time of the URL was changed. Okay, so 500 URLs have a different last modified time. So what is the benefit of this one? When 500 URLs have different modified time, the remaining 9,900 and 9,500 URLs have no change. There is no change in the last modified time. So what is the benefit of this one? There is no purpose of the search engine spider to open all the 10,000 URL to see whether they are crawled or indexed or the content is changed. It will ignore the 9,500 URLs. Okay, it will ignore the 9,500 URLs and it will crawl only the 500 URLs and update the content and it will go off. You are getting the point? Right? So it will update the content only for 500 URLs and the remaining 9,500 URL will not be checked. So it saves lots of time for the search engine spider to crawl and index a huge or a heavy website. So the purpose of a sitemap file is to help the task of crawling and indexing easier. Simple.